morning session I have introduced him, but also I give some small introduction with him. He is a professor in
No,
Department of
not,
Statistics, Shivaji University, Kolhapur.
not necessary to repeat.
Okay. Oh, okay. I welcome you, sir, again. And now start your session, please.
Actually, I joined this meeting just 5-7 minutes before, when Professor Anil Kumar Goyal was taking the class or delivering his lecture. What was his topic, madam?
His topic was parametric tests by using SPSS software.
By using SPSS.
He explained parametric tests and non-parametric tests using SPSS software.
Now then it will be repetition, right? Because I have been assigned same topic. T-test.
Using SPSS?
Not SPSS, but he might have explained everything. Test.
No, sir. He explained only how to use a test using SPSS software.
Okay.
Not detail he explained. His concentration is on SPSS.
Okay. Now I have been assigned same topic, that is parametric tests. Okay. In my first lecture, we have discussed in general what is hypothesis testing. Now we will go in particular setup. Okay. So I have been assigned task to explain you the concepts of t-tests, z-tests, chi-square test, and ANOVA, analysis of variance. So Professor Anil Kumar Goyal has already told you how to conduct these tests using SPSS. I will not explain you the computation part. I will explain you how these tests have been developed, or how particular test, how we have reached to the particular test statistic related to those tests. Okay. So
yes,
let me share the screen. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. So okay, for this lecture I have not prepared slides. Okay, I will use some PDF file and some slides. So first test is Z test. Okay. So in my earlier lecture, while explaining the concept of hypothesis testing, in second example was of related to sugarcane yield in Maharashtra. The claim was sugarcane yield in Maharashtra is greater than 80 tons per hectare, against the alternative that it is less than 80 tons per hectare. So what test there I have explained is actually the Z test. Okay. So just a minute. Z test. So in Z test, we have some random variable X. In that example, X means yield of sugarcane. Okay, X can be anything. For example, suppose you are considering milk pouch filling process. We are getting milk in pouches of 500 ml, 1 liter, etc. So for in that process, suppose X represent amount of milk filled in a milk pouch. Okay, amount of, I will not write anything here. X denote, for example, amount of milk filled in a pouch. So in this case, milk is being filled automatically in the pouch using the machine which fills the pouches. So I might be interested here whether the machine is filling the quantity of milk which is specified for that machine. Suppose machine has been set for 500 ml. Okay, machine has been set for filling the pouch, the quantity 500 ml. So now we are interested in testing whether the machine is really filling exactly 500 ml milk in the pouches. Okay, so see, variability is part of nature. No two things are identical, so definitely there must be variability in the amount of milk filled in different pouches. In some pouches it might be exactly 500, it's in some pouches it might be 503, in some pouches it might be 502, 499, 490, etc. Okay, so considering this fact, we are interested in testing whether the mean quantity in the pouches to be filled is equal to 500. So suppose mu denotes mean. Mean of the amount of milk filled in a pouch. And now we are interested in testing the null hypothesis. Mu is equal to 500 ml versus the alternative hypothesis mu not equal to 500. Okay, so this is H0 is null hypothesis, H1 is alternative hypothesis. So one might be interested in this alternative hypothesis, or one might be interested in testing this hypothesis. One might be worried whether milk to be filled in pouches, its mean value is greater than 500. So one might be interested in testing this hypothesis also, whether the mean value is greater than 5 ml. Or one might also be interested in testing the hypothesis whether it is less than 500 ml. Okay, so first one is two-sided hypothesis, and these two are one-sided hypothesis. So logically, how to test this hypothesis? So step number one, we have to collect data related to the quantity filled in the pouch. So what will we do? We will take sample of say 10 bags. So we will choose, for example, sample size 10. So we will at random choose 10 bags from the process, and we will measure the amount of milk filled in those bags. Okay, so for example, in first bag, suppose it is 502 ml. In second bag, it is, for example, 497 ml, like this. In third bag, it is 501 ml, etc. Okay, so what we have to check here, whether H0 null hypothesis is mu is equal to 500 ml. Against, we will choose this alternative H1, mu is not equal to 500 ml. Now suppose for this process, variability, that is standard deviation, is known. Okay, standard deviation sigma of this process is known. Now what is the ultimate process? when we take sample of size n, what will we do? We will compute sample mean. Okay, and if this sample mean is reasonably close to 500, we will accept null hypothesis. Otherwise, we will reject the null hypothesis. So we have to compute x bar and compare it with some threshold C. Okay, if it is close to C, we will accept H naught. Otherwise, we will reject H naught. So in this case, instead of x bar, we can use this test statistic: x bar minus 500 divided by sigma by root n. Sigma is the standard deviation in this process, which is known. Standard deviation means it is measure of variability. N is sample size, x bar is sample mean, 500 is the hypothesized value of population mean. Okay, in null hypothesis, we have assumed that we have claimed that population mean, that is on an average milk to be filled in pouch is of size 500 ml. So what will we do? We will compute this test statistic. Okay, see that in the numerator and hypothesized quantity. Okay, we take its absolute value. Okay, absolute value means what? Difference between these two. And now this quantity x bar minus 500 divided by sigma by root n, this follows standard normal distribution, normal 0 1. Okay, so test statistic in this process is z is equal to x bar minus mu naught. Instead of 500, I will write mu naught here. Mu naught is hypothesized value of mean mu sigma by root n. So under H naught, this quantity is standard normal variate, and it is test statistic of this hypothesis testing procedure, and test based on this statistic is called Z test. Okay, test based on this statistic is called Z test. Now when we compute this quantity, and we are interested in two-sided alternative hypothesis. Two-sided alternative hypothesis means mu is not equal to 500. So, or first we consider one-sided hypothesis. Suppose we are interested in testing null hypothesis, mu is equal to 500 against the alternative mu is greater than 500. Okay, so larger value of sample mean will support to the alternative hypothesis, right? So if x bar is quite large, then x bar minus mu divided by sigma by root n, this quantity will be large quantity, and if we get large quantity, that will support to the alternative hypothesis that mean amount to be filled in pouch is greater than 500. So if this quantity is larger than some threshold C, we have to reject the null hypothesis. If our alternative hypothesis is mu is less than or equal to 500, then test will reverse, means smaller quantity of the alternative hypothesis. That means we have to reject the null hypothesis if this quantity is smaller than some threshold C. Okay, can you hear me, everyone?
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Okay, have I shared my screen or not? I don't know.
Shared, sir.
Yes,
Screen is visible.
Okay, okay. So, did you get the logic? So, I have to compute this quantity, which is the test statistic in this case. If it is greater than some threshold, then we will be in support of the alternative hypothesis that mu is greater than 500 ml. Okay, and in that case, we have to reject the null hypothesis. If we are interested in testing another alternative hypothesis, mu less than 500, then smaller value of this hypothesis will support that particular alternative hypothesis. So in that case, if Z is less than some threshold C1, we will reject the null hypothesis. In case of two-sided alternative hypothesis, what we have to do? We have to find absolute difference between X bar and mu naught. If that absolute difference is 2 away from 0, then we will reject H naught. Otherwise, we will accept H naught. So, as I told you in first lecture, the crucial point is how to find this threshold C. So in this case, we know that distribution of test statistic is standard normal. Okay. So using that distribution, we can find the threshold. So this one is the test statistic in Z test. Okay. And we have to reject the null hypothesis. The rejection procedure depends on what is the alternative hypothesis, right? If alternative hypothesis, I will write here alternative hypothesis, mu is greater than mu naught. Okay. If this is the alternative hypothesis, in larger values of Z will support this alternative hypothesis. That means if we get value of Z greater than some threshold, then we have to reject H naught and accept H1. If alternative hypothesis is mu is less than mu naught, then smaller value of Z will support the alternative hypothesis, and accordingly we have to take the decision. If alternative hypothesis is two-sided, mu is not equal to mu naught, then we have to take absolute value of Z. And if that absolute value is greater than some threshold, we have to reject H naught. And that threshold is to be determined using the distribution of Z, which is standard normal. So this is the Z test. And this test is called one sample Z test. Here we have only one population and we are testing mean of that population. We are testing claim related to that population only. Here one thing we have assumed that sigma, that is standard deviation of the milk pouch filling process, is known. Now generally in practice that is not known. Okay, if process is quite stable since long time, then it might be known. Okay, but for new process, standard deviation means variability in that process may not be known. So if variability is not known, then we have to replace this sigma by its estimate. Okay, what is estimate of sigma? It is sample mean square, or you can call it sample variance. Sample variance. So measure of it is 1 upon n minus 1, the summation of xi minus x bar bracket square. This is estimate of standard deviation, which we call sample mean square, or some people also call. Okay, we have to. It is s square actually, and square root of this quantity is estimate of this sigma. Okay, sample SD we can call. So if we replace this sigma by S, then distribution of Z no longer remains normal distribution, standard normal distribution. Okay, if sigma is known, it is standard normal. If we replace sigma by its estimate, that is sample SD, then distribution of Z does not remain normal 0, 1. It becomes T distribution, students T distribution with n minus 1 degrees of freedom. Okay, so instead of standard normal distribution, to find the threshold value, we have to use T distribution with n minus 1 degrees of freedom, and then the test is called T test. Okay, again it is one sample T test. Clear the difference between Z test and T test. Now if sample size is too large, then even if sigma is not known, we can replace it by its estimate, that is sample standard deviation. And if sample size is sufficiently large, then instead of t distribution we can use, because that particular statistic approximately follows standard normal distribution. So instead of t test or instead of t distribution, we can use standard normal distribution to find the threshold value. Okay, so these are the one sample z test and one sample t tests. Okay, okay, so this is z test, this is okay. Now second one is, suppose we have two different machines for filling the milk pouches, and suppose mu1 denotes mean quantity filled by machine 1, and mu2 denote mean quantity filled by machine 2. Okay, there are two machines and both machines are filling 500 quantity of milk in the pouches. And now we are interested in testing the hypothesis whether mu1 is equal to mu2. And alternative hypothesis can be, for example, mu1 is greater than mu2, or it can be mu1 less than mu2, or just two sided alternative, mu1 not equal to mu2. Okay, so what is the logical procedure in this case? We have two different machines, so we have to collect sample from both the machines. So from first machine, suppose we have collected 10 bags and measured volume filled in the bags. Same thing has been done for machine 2. So suppose x1 bar is the mean of sample collected from machine 1, x2 bar is the mean of sample collected from second machine. So what we have to test? Mu is equal to mu1 is equal to mu2. So this is estimate of mu1 and this one is estimate of mu2. If H0 is true, these two will be reasonably close to each other, right? X1 bar will be close to X2 bar. So we can use the test statistic like this: X1 bar minus X2 bar. Okay. Now suppose we are interested in testing this particular hypothesis, mu1 greater than mu2, mu1 greater than mu2. So what I will do, I will take the difference between x1 and x2, that is x1 bar minus x2 bar. If this difference is sufficiently large, that will support the alternative hypothesis mu1 greater than mu2, right? That will support the alternative hypothesis mu1 greater than mu2. Now here we make assumption that variability in both the machines is same and it is known and it is sigma. Okay, variability in both the machines is same and that is known, and that is sigma. If this thing is known, then distribution of x1 minus x1 bar minus x2 bar is normal distribution with mean mu1 minus mu2 and variance variance of this plus variance of this, means 2 sigma square. Okay, so distribution of this thing is known, so we can convert this test statistic into standard normal distribution, that is x1 bar minus x2 bar minus mu1 minus mu2 divided by what? Okay, this is 2 sigma by root n. Divided by this quantity. Okay, so if we divide by this quantity, its distribution becomes this random variable becomes standard normal. Okay, and then using this using distribution of z, which is standard normal, we can determine the threshold. So this is 2 sample z test, 2 sample z test, so which is written here. X1 bar is the mean of sample from first machine, sample from second machine, minus their divided by this sigma divided by here it has been assumed that the 2 samples are of different sizes. First sample is of size n1, second sample is of size n2. So this z has now standard normal distribution, and using that distribution we can determine the required thresholds. So this test is called 2 sample z test. What is its purpose? To compare means of 2 populations. To compare means of 2 populations. Now, if this sigma is not known, what we have to do? We have to estimate this sigma. Now, here we will make one more assumption, that though sigma is not known, we assume that sigma of both processes is same. Okay, variability in machine 1 and variability in machine 2 is same. If we do assumption, we can estimate this sigma using the 2 samples that we have already collected, and we can replace this sigma by that particular estimate. If we do this, then this does not remain as standard normal. It becomes now t distribution, and then the test is called 2 sample t test. So what is the purpose of 2 sample t test? To test mean of to test hypothesis related to mean of 2 populations when standard deviation or variability in the 2 populations is not known. Okay, this already has been explained. T-test I have already explained. Many times you might have heard about chi-square test for population variance. So what example we are discussing is milk pouch filling process. In first example, there was only one machine, and we were interested in testing the mean quantity of milk to be filled in a bag. Okay, and there we had assumed that sigma is known. Sigma means standard deviation of the process is known. but now we are suspicious about sigma itself, suppose. Okay, and we have to test the hypothesis that this sigma is equal to some value, say sigma naught. Sigma is equal to some value, say sigma naught. Alternative hypothesis, there can be again three types of alternative hypothesis. Sigma is not equal to sigma naught. This is two-sided. Or sigma is greater than sigma naught. Or sigma is less than sigma naught. So what alternative hypothesis is to be chosen? That depends on your interest. So what is the procedure in this case? Again, we have to take sample of size n. So x1, x2, xn represent the n observations on the quantity of milk filled in the pouches. Then we have to compute x bar, sample mean, and this one is sample variance. Okay, sample variance. So in this case, if x1, x2, xn are reasonably normally distributed, then this quantity n-1 is square divided by sigma naught square under h naught, its distribution is chi-square distribution with n-1 degrees of freedom. Okay, so n-1 is a square divided by sigma square. Its distribution is chi-square distribution with n-1 degrees of freedom. So test procedure depends on alternative hypothesis. If alternative hypothesis is h1 sigma is greater than sigma naught, then we have to reject the null hypothesis if test value of test statistic is large. So larger value of test statistic support the alternative hypothesis in this case. If alternative hypothesis is in a opposite way, that is if sigma is less than sigma naught, then smaller values of this test statistic n-1 s square divided by sigma naught square will support to this alternative hypothesis. So if we get smaller value, we have to reject h naught in favor of this particular hypothesis. So smaller or how smaller means how much smaller, and larger means how much larger. That depends on level of significance of the test. So first we have to decide level of significance, and then according to level of significance, using the null distribution of this particular test statistic, we have to find the threshold values, right? And then comparing this test statistic with the threshold values, we have to take decision about accepting or rejecting the null hypothesis. So this is chi-square test. Again, we go to the two machines problem. Okay, and suppose sigma 1 represent standard deviation produced by machine 1, sigma 2 represent standard deviation produced by machine 2, and suppose we are interested in testing this hypothesis. Okay, suppose we are interested in testing this hypothesis. So what we have to do? That test is called F test. So we have to collect two samples. First sample is of size n1, which is on machine 1. Second sample is of size n2, which is on machine 2. These are the two sample means, and these s1 square, s2 square are the estimates of variability sigma 1 and sigma 2. So if data is reasonably normally distributed, if this x1, x2, xn1 and y1, y2, yn2, if they are reasonably normally distributed, then this ratio s1 square divided by s2 square, s1 means this variance estimate of variance in first sample, estimate of variance in second sample. This ratio follows F distribution. So once we know that its distribution is F, we can use this distribution to determine the threshold values related to the corresponding alternative hypothesis. See here we are taking the ratios. So if alternative hypothesis is sigma 1 greater than sigma 2, then we expect numerator, that is S1 square, larger than S2 square to support this hypothesis, right? So if numerator is larger than denominator, value of F will be large, right? That means large value of F will support this alternative hypothesis. Similarly, for testing sigma 1 less than sigma 2, we have to use same statistic, but in this case, smaller values of F will support the alternative hypothesis. Okay, and if alternative hypothesis is two-sided, that is, if it is sigma 1 not equal to sigma 2, then we have to use two-tailed test. In this case, we have to find two thresholds, C1 and C2, such that if F is less than C1 or if F is greater than C2, we have to reject the null hypothesis. Okay, clear? So these are the different test procedures. First, we have seen one sample problem. One sample means we have only one sample and we are interested in testing mean of that sample, whether that mean is equal to particular value, that is one sample Z test or one sample T test or one sample chi-square test for testing variability of that sample. We have two different samples. That problem is called two sample problem. In two sample problem, we might be interested in testing means of the two populations, or we might be interested in testing in comparing variability in the two samples. For testing means, again we have to use either Z test or T test, and that test is called two sample T test or two sample Z test. And for comparing variances or for comparing variability in the two populations, we have to use F test. Okay, now we will go to next problem. Instead of two populations, suppose we have more than two populations, say 3 populations, or in general we have suppose K populations where K is greater than 2. Then these test procedures cannot be used, whatever just now I have explained. If we have K populations, that means instead of 2 machines, suppose there are K machines. K means, for example, 5. There are 5 different machines, and we are now interested in testing whether mean quantity of milk filled by all these 5 machines is same or different. Mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to like this, mu k. Okay. So if our interest is in testing this particular hypothesis, then we have to use different test procedure that is called ANOVA, analysis of variance. Okay, now what is analysis of variance? I will explain you. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Now I will go with one example. Consider manufacturing process of paper bags. Okay, and these paper bags are used for filling grocery. These paper bags will be used by grocery shopper for carrying groceries. So here important quality characteristic of this paper bags will be strength of bag. Strength of bag. Now strength of bag depends on what type of material, what type of paper is used to what type of paper is used to prepare those bags, right? So ultimately it depends on quality of paper, right? Now strength of that bag or strength of that particular paper, now we can say, depends on hardwood concentration. Okay, depends on hardwood concentration in the pulp. So paper is made up of pulp, and by engineering knowledge, it is known that strength of that paper depends on what amount of concentration of hardwood is there in that pulp. Okay, strength of paper depends on hardwood concentration in the pulp, which is used to produce that particular paper. Now hardwood concentration in that pulp can be in the range of 5 to 20%. Okay, now right now we don't know the relationship between hardwood concentration and strength of paper. We don't know whether high amount of hardwood concentration increases what is that, strength of paper, right? So experiment is done like this. Experimenter produced, say for example, 6 bags of the pulp in which concentration of hardwood concentration is 5%. Then they produced another 6 bags from the pulp in which hardwood concentration is 10%. Then they produced another 6 bags in which they kept hardwood concentration 15%, and last set of 6 bags in which they maintained concentration 20%. Okay, so here we have 4 different populations of bags. For first bag, the raw material contained 5% of hardwood concentration. For second population, 10% of hardwood concentration. For third, 15%. For fourth, 20%. Right? So 4 different populations, and we have 4 different samples. Initially, now we don't know what is the relations between amount of concentration and strength of the bag. Okay, so suppose variable y1 denote strength of bag from population number 1. This is 1 population, this is second, this one third, this one is fourth. So y1 denote strength of bag from population 1, Y2, strength of bag from population 2, Y3, third population, Y4, fourth population. Okay. Now suppose mean of first population is mu1, mean of second population is mu2, mu3, mu4. Mean means mean mean strength of the bag. And now in the beginning of this experiment, now we are interested in testing the hypothesis whether mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu3 is equal to mu4. Okay. Initially, we are interested in testing the hypothesis whether the mean concentration of all the four populations, mean strength of all four populations is same. Okay. Only we have, if only we have two populations, then we would have used two sample t-test. But here we cannot use two sample t-test. Okay. Why we can't use two sample t-test? Answer of this question is a little bit technical, so I will skip answering this question. So did you get the problem? Now what we have to check? Whether mean strength of all the four populations is same. If we accept this hypothesis, then practically it will indicate that strength of the bag really does not depend on hardwood concentration, right? Whatever may be the hardwood concentration, we will get on an average same strength, right? And then we will leave thinking about amount of concentration in the pulp, right? On the other hand, if this hypothesis is rejected, then that will indicate that mean strength of the paper bag depends on what amount of hardwood concentration has been used to prepare paper of that bag, right? And then we will investigate further to determine the optimal level of concentration. Optimal level of means the level of concentration for which strength of the paper is maximum. That will be the further problem. But initially, first we are interested in testing whether really strength of the bag is really dependent on amount of hardwood concentration. So for testing this or getting information about this, we have to test this null hypothesis, that is whether means of all the four populations are same. I think you have cleared the problem. So this is the data on this experiment. Okay, we have four populations. For population 1, we have kept hardwood concentration 5%, and that means we have prepared pulp which contains hardwood concentration 5%, and using that pulp 6 bags has been produced. So this data represent strength of those bags. For first bag strength was 7, for second bag strength was 8, for third bag it was 15, 11, 9, 10, etc. Okay, and mean strength is mean of all these 6 values 10. Second population is the population of bags for which pulp contain hardwood concentration 10%. So these are the 6 bags. 6 bags means their strength. So here we are considering two variables. Y is strength and I can say X, which is hardwood concentration. So these are the Y values. what are represented in this table. These are the Y values, values of strength. For population number 2, these are 12, 17, etc. For mean strength of second population is 15.67. Sample mean it is. Similarly, third population was of 15% concentration. Mean value is 17. Fourth one is 20, and mean value is 21. So if we keenly observe, we are able to see here that as we increase hardwood concentration, mean strength also goes on increasing, right? 10, 15, 17, 21. So fortunately in this experiment, picture is very clear, but most of the times picture is not so clear. Okay, we cannot reach conclusion easily. So the levels of factor are called treatments. Factor means here hardwood concentration is a factor, and we are testing whether the response means here strength, whether the strength depends on hardwood concentration. That is our problem. So hardwood concentration is a factor in this case in terminology of statistics, and for this factor, in this case there are 4 levels: 5%, 10%, 15%, and 20%. Okay, there are 4 levels. These levels are called treatments. So 5% is one treatment, 10% is another treatment, like this. Okay, now for each level or for each treatment, we have produced 6 bags. Okay, that means for each treatment we have replicated experiment 6 times. Okay, we have replicated experiment 6 times. So this is pictorial representation of the same data. Okay, y-axis represent tensile strength, and there are 4 different hardwood concentrations. Okay, I think my time is over, so I have to wind up, right? Madam, how much long can I take?
Sir, only
5
2
10
minutes or 5 minutes. 2 minutes or 5 minutes. It's a 2 o'clock.
Okay, I can't hear you. Can anybody from audience tell
5
me,
minutes.
please? Is there next lecture?
2 to 5 minutes, sir.
Okay, I will take another 5-6 minutes. Okay, and then close. So pictorially, same data has been represented.
Okay,
This is 5% hardwood concentration, and okay, this figure is called box plot, and this is box plot for the data on 5% hardwood concentration. This is for 10%. So from this picture also it is clear that as we increase hardwood concentration, tensile strength goes on increasing. So here we can make another observation that what variability we observe. So this represent variability. So variability in all the 4 population is more or less same. This observation we can make from this graph. Okay, variability in all 4 population is more or less same. Okay, now in general we will see how this hypothesis can be tested. So in general we have A levels of in general we have A treatments. Okay, A treatments. For each treatment we will collect sample. Okay, for example, for simplicity we assume that for each treatment we have collected sample of same size. So this is sample for first level treatment, this is second level treatment, this is 8th level treatment, and the last column denotes sample means. Okay, what is our hypothesis? We have to test whether all population means are equal. So that can be tested using sample means, right? So whatever observation we get, this observation y11, y11 is what? It is first observation from first population. From first population means who have received first level of treatment. So we can split Yij like this in these three terms. Mu means overall mean value of the population of Y's, overall mean value, plus effect of I treatment plus some random component. Okay, so this is overall. I can split the Y value, strength, tensile strength value in these three components. It is overall mean plus effect of I treatment plus some random component. What is our hypothesis? We have to test whether mu1 is equal to mu2 is equal to mu4. Okay. Now, if this model is reasonably assumed by data, then testing this hypothesis is same as testing the hypothesis tau1 is equal to tau2 is equal to tau3 is equal to tau4. Tau means what? Effect of tau1 means effect of first level of treatment or first treatment, effect of second treatment, like this. If all these are equal, then that means that particular factor is not effective. Its all levels are equally effective. So this is the hypothesis. Ultimately, we have to test whether tau1 is equal to tau2 is equal to tau a, and if all they are equal, that means they have no effect. So we can take equal to 0, right? Now let us see how to test this particular hypothesis. This quantity represents total variability in the data. Okay, we have collected samples from each treatment, and this quantity represent total variability in the data. So we can split this total variability into two components: component number 1, component number 2. Component number 1, you can see that this represent variability between means of all A groups. Variability between means of, we have 4 groups, so there will be 4 means, right? So this quantity represent variability between these 4 means, and this variability represents variability within the groups. Okay, now if all the 4 groups are homogeneous, they are having same means, then these two quantity will be estimating the same variability, right? Okay, so it is the sum of A components, and it is the sum of A into n components. So if I divide this quantity by A minus 1, and if I divide this quantity by A into n minus 1, then those two will be estimates of variability, right? Now variability within treatment and variability between treatment, if both are same, then this divided by A minus 1 and this divided by A into A minus 1 estimates the same quantity. Okay, estimates the same quantity, and that's why, that means numerator and denominator will estimate the same quantity. So if variability between treatments and variability within treatment is same, then this F ratio we expect equal to 1. Okay. Now, if the treatments are really effective, then between mean variability will be larger than within mean variability, right? And then numerator will be larger than denominator in this F ratio. That's why large values of F will support the alternative hypothesis that the treatment means are not equal. Clear? So this is the test procedure. So we have to, this is the test statistic. Large value of F support the alternative hypothesis that at least one mean is different from the others. Okay. So I think I have to stop here. The result can be represented in an annotate table in this way. Shall I stop?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes. Any question from audience? Okay, now we stop here. On the behalf of organizing committee of
Okay, I will
SGM
stop
College Karad
my
and
discussion here. If
okay.
you have any question, you are free.
Any question? No question, sir. Okay. On the behalf of organizing committee and HRDC Pune and SGM College Karad, we are very thankful to Honorable Professor Shashi Bhushan Mahadik sir for giving him useful and informative session. Thank you very much, sir.
Dr. Patil madam, are you here?
Yes, sir. One question from Ruchi
Is there
Tandon.
anybody from organizers?
Sir, question nahi hai. It's a humble request. If organizers can send a video of your lectures, then it will be nice. All of today's lectures, because those are today are most of the applicative lectures.
Can you
So
hear
when
me?
we
Can
try
anybody
ourselves, then we will have
please
more
discuss?
questions.
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. Yes,
Yes,
we will
ma'am.
send it. Yes. We will send it. Hello. Dear
Mahadik, sir.
participants,
Yes, sir,
we
Mahadik,
will-
sir.
Mahadik, sir.
Mahadik, sir, are you listening me? Hello? Okay. Okay,
Dovre
thank
madam.
you, sir. Now we will start with our next session. Yes, sir.